What's up? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this beautifully honest reaction.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice.
All right, guys, let's just go ahead and talk about the fact that I was not surprised when I heard that the jury has reached a verdict, not on all charges, not on all counts, but before the holiday weekend, yeah, I didn't, even though they're not sequestered, I really was not expecting deliberations to go on for a long time. Now, while none of us know exactly what the outcome is going to be, and there are a lot of predictions out there, and some have even reported he's been found guilty. The news is that the jury has reached a verdict on counts 2 through 5. It didn't say that they reached a verdict of guilty or, not guilty. So that reporting is definitely incorrect. But just based on what I know about the legal field, I was in it for 12 years, many years ago. Usually the signs are bad for the defendant if the jury comes back quickly. That's usually, of course, every case is not the same. And the longer it takes for them to deliberate, it's usually a better sign for the defendant. So the fact that they just started deliberations on Monday and on Tuesday, they were announcing that the jury has reached a verdict on counts 2 through 5, that typically means it's not looking good for the defendant. But again, none of us know what the outcome is going to be. So I'm not here to say that that's exactly what it is, but more likely than not, that's what it's going to be. Now, I want to know what you guys think. I have not been covering the Diddy trial, but I've definitely been paying attention to it. I've been listening to some of the attorneys, some of the law and crime coverage, and then a few of the YouTube vloggers that have been in attendance. But what I will say about this freaking trial is it has been a circus. It's been a crap show. The fact that you have, and hey, it's a free country. And although federal trials are not televised, anyone who can get in the courtroom or in the overflow rooms, you're free to attend if you can get in. And because this is such a high profile case, there were a lot of people that wanted to be there. But I just found it kind of funny and honestly a little bit weird because although on my channel, I do talk about reality show content and things like that, my channel, the Being Beautifully Honest podcast channel, I talk about a myriad of topics. So it's just not something that I choose to talk about a lot because it was just a lot. All of the stuff about sex and the freak offs and all of the details about that stuff. I don't want to be talking about that stuff all the time. So hats off to the people that did it. But I just found it a little bit weird that people who didn't even really talk about stuff like that went up to New York to be at the trial so that they could cover it. It's like, okay, whatever. But like I said, it's a free country, so people are free to do whatever they want to do, I guess. But I digress. I feel that the jury has reached a verdict of guilty, but I don't think that he's going to be found guilty on everything. And that's why there's the holdouts for RICO. And I can kind of understand why, because even though I'm not a fan of all of the things that I've been hearing about him, and I do believe that he has a lot of problems and he is a monster. And I will say that I had a lot of problems, more so, not even more so, I had a lot of problems with the people who were aiding and abetting, covering all of that stuff. But while some people had jobs, and this is, how they got paid and they have to look out for themselves first, because that is pretty much the way the world works. The law of self-preservation is real. So most people are going to think about themselves before they think about other people when it comes to situations like this. But TD Jakes being this man's mentor, I just still don't buy that. I don't. But TD Jakes isn't on trial and he has his own other legal issues that he's dealing with. And I will talk about that in separate commentary. But I just find it really weird because I don't think I did a community wall post, but when Tasha K re-aired the interview that she did with Gina initially from years ago, before all of this Cassie stuff popped out and all of this stuff that's going on in the in the most recent almost 2 years have come to the surface, Tasha K interviewed this chick that none of us knew anything about. So it's news to me as to why she chose to, one, even do an interview, and two, go on Tasha K's platform to do an interview to expose Diddy. And then when they were saying that the prosecution could not find the the third witness, I was saying in the comment section on the re-air of that video, I said, when I heard that this witness was missing, my mind immediately went to Gina and I was wondering if it was her. And lo and behold, it was her, because now she's showing back up in the public eye when it's getting close to him pretty much, I believe, being found guilty. Now, I don't believe that he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison unless he gets 10 to 15 years and he just happens to die during that time period. And I'm not speaking that to wish anything on him, but I'm just saying tomorrow ain't promised to anybody. So nobody can say, oh, well, he can ride out those 10 to 15 years and he'll be out by the time he's 70 or whatever, 70, 75, whatever it is, because that doesn't, life isn't guaranteed. It doesn't mean that he's going to be freed. If he even serves 5 years in prison, he could die in 2. I'm just saying we just have to be realistic about things, but I don't believe he's going to be sentenced to a term of where he literally would be spending the rest of his life in prison. I just don't. Because while I'm not on his team or on his side with all of the things, I just don't believe that a lot of the things that some of the witnesses testified to, especially Jane Doe, who a lot of people know who she is. I'm just not going to say her name here. It just was sounding like, girl, you did not have to subject yourself to this. And yeah, you may have been dealing with Stockholm syndrome and, different things like that, but you really wanted the lifestyle. So you could have just left, but you chose to keep coming back because he was paying your rent $10,000 a month, when you could have just downgraded your lifestyle, but you wanted to live that type of life. So it's going to make a lot of people feel, no sympathy for her, or to not even really feel like Sean Combs or Diddy is a victim, but that this isn't something that should be punishable with prison because of these things. But there are other things that they missed the opportunities to get him on. Like a lot of people feel that he was responsible for Kim Porter's death. That's never been proven. But a lot of people feel that way. And then a lot of people just downright feel like he's a terrible boss and he treated his artists on his label terribly, that they were not paid, they were not taken care of, they were, dealing with a lot of hardships that no employee, no 1099 contractor or anybody should be subjected to. So a lot of people feel like there's a lot of other things that he should have been charged for that he never was. And also, of course, the abuse that was inflicted on Cassie that no one can deny that was seen in that video. But it's not a federal crime. And some people feel like, well, she got paid, so she should be good. But there are civil and criminal penalties for things like that. But he was never charged civilly for that. But anyway, let's get into TMZ running up on Gina, because she just happens to now be outside when it's been announced that the jury reached a verdict on counts 2 through 5. All right, so let's just go ahead and get into this little clip here.
Hi, Gina. How you doing? I have a quick question for you. Do you think Diddy's gonna win this trial? You don't know? Okay. I've been hearing a lot of stories. Everybody been hearing like maybe you were kidnapped or like something like crazy. Like we just hearing a lot of stuff. Is there anything you can clear up or anything like that?
No, I'm safe. I'm not kidnapped.
Real quick, before you go, that's what I want to know. If Diddy does win this trial, do you think your life will be threatened in any kind of way?
No.
You don't think so? You think everything will be safe? Because the girl Aubrey O'Day, she said that if Diddy wins, she's gonna leave the country.
I mean, he never did anything dangerous to me. I'm not scared.
You're not scared? Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Okay.
All right. The chick says he never did anything dangerous to her. So she's pretty much saying that she's either lying here or she lied on the Tasha K interview. And honestly, the chick does sound just a little teensy wincy bit slow. I'm not saying that to be disparaging. I'm just being honest about it. And when she did that interview on Tasha K, I don't know how old she was, but she was just, to me, coming across as a bit immature. But she didn't come across as a liar, maybe a bit timid and shy, but honestly, just a teensy weensy bit underdeveloped or slow. Just being real. So we're going to get into some of that interview because it's like, girl, which is it? Because the fact that you were supposed to be witness number 3, possibly a Jane Doe, maybe not, but they say they couldn't find you. And then now, when it's been announced that a verdict has been reached, and in counts 2 through 5, and then you're showing up, I don't believe her, not one bit. So let's just go ahead and play a little bit of this because I was like, yeah, I was right.
I don't know yet. And then he offered me 50,000 to get rid of it, but I turned it down because I just loved him, and and I wanted to, I was like trying to prove that I wasn't the girl that wanted him for money.
Okay.
I just care about him, and I just wanted him to be nice to me. That's it. I was like, I don't want your money. I just want you to be nice to me.
Whether you decide to keep the baby or not.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be fair to say that he was an asshole about it? I mean, offering somebody $50,000 to abort a baby, whew, he must really want it gone bad.
I mean, in the beginning, like the first 3.5 years, like the first 4 months, he was really nice. But then after that, he started being an asshole. So like I say, like the first 3.5 years, he was like mean to me.
So when you say mean, describe it.
He was abusive. He was like always belittling me, and always like, he was like mentally, emotionally, and physically abusing me.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time we've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
There was an incident, of course, with Cassie, where reporters are saying that the police were called because they got into an altercation. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Tell me some of the things that he would say to you.
He would always compare me to Cassie and tell me that I'm the bad one and she's a good one.
And he was with both of you guys at the same time.
Yeah. And at one point, like I was breaking out really bad with acne, and he would be like, he said this a few times to me. He's like, baby, why don't you go see a doctor or something? I don't date women with bumps on their face.
Oh.
Yeah, he would say that to me.
Take a drink. Relax. Okay. I can tell this is bringing up a lot. We have some tissues. Thank you, Jeff.
So, it appears to me Tasha K was just asking her questions and she was sharing I was in an abusive relationship with Diddy for 5 years. She is sharing her experience. She said out of her mouth, the first 3 or 4 months he was nice, and then he just started being mean after that. So, which is the truth?
Okay. So, of course, that is very, humiliating, especially when you love someone and they tell you that you're not good enough for them.
Mm-hmm. He would like call me names, like he would call me a hoe every single day.
A hoe?
Yeah.
Why would he call you? Not that he had a reason, but like in his mind, what do you think prompted him to call you a hoe?
Now that I think about it, I think
Oh, okay. Hold on. We're getting to use some tissue.
Thank
I don't
you.
want you messing up your makeup, okay? You look gorgeous,
Thanks.
okay?
Thinking back now, I think he did it because he wanted me to feel low about myself, like, so that I stick around him, because like no one would I don't know. I just feel like he'd try to use I was naive and young when I met him, so I feel like he tried to take advantage of that and manipulate me and make me feel low about myself.
So, I mean, apparently it worked because she's still around. I I can't be more bothered than her. This is her life. I cannot. But clearly she's a liar. She was not cooperating with the feds, and she has been living this life and this lifestyle that she is comfortable with. And unfortunately, that is true for a lot of people, even when they're not in a they're not in a situation, because I wouldn't even call it a relationship, when they're not in a situation where the person that they are with and has been emotionally, physically, verbally abusive towards them is financially well off. I've said this over and over again. I don't know why people feel like people like Cassie and some of the others that have been in a situationship with him or other powerful people, it's like, oh, they're only with them because of the financial things. No, there are people, there are women who have been in situations and even marriages where they're struggling financially, but because of the fear of the unknown, they've gotten used to it. Even if they don't like it, they stay there because that's kind of all that they know. And it's like, well, if I leave, what could I, what could I get? And it's like, it's sad, but it is really a mental thing. It really is. So I'm not even mad. It's like, it's not my life, it's not my dog, not my fight. But it's just really funny that she reappears after this, and then she says he's not dangerous, he hasn't done any. Like, girl, what? At least say, well, I'm in a better place with him or whatever. But I just was like, wow. So I believe that he has been found guilty on multiple counts. I do not believe he's going to serve life in prison. And I also do believe, even though he's not on trial for some of the egregious things that he's done throughout his life and career, sometimes that's just the way life works, where it, karma, unfortunately, sometimes we don't see it happen for some of the people that deserve it, like 45/47. But it is real. The law of sowing and reaping is real. And a lot of times when you reap, you don't reap in the same way that you sowed, if that makes sense. So it could come in other forms. It can. Like, OJ got off for murking his ex-wife and ex-wife's lover. Some people believe he did it, some people believe he did not do it, but he got off for that. Criminally, civilly he did not, but he never paid those people the money, that the judgment that he had against him. So he wound up going to prison for something completely different, which it some people feel like he shouldn't have gone to prison for that. He went to prison for which was dumb. He held up some people by GUN point to take back his own stuff. And he wound up being charged, tried, and convicted for that and going to prison for that. And a lot of people felt like he shouldn't have gone to prison for that. But in some ways, it was because of him getting off for the murking. And if he really did do it, listen, I wasn't there, I don't know. But I do believe that his defense did the job that they were hired to do, and they got him off. Listen, guys, I'm just speaking of what I know. When I was in the legal field, I never worked in criminal law, but I did work for it. The last attorney that I ever worked for, he did do some criminal defense pro bono, meaning he was appointed by the courts to represent some people who could not afford an attorney. Well, I remember he had gotten this guy off, for murking a female cab driver. This is years ago, way before Uber and Lyft and all those rideshare, things existed. African American woman got a part-time job driving cabs at night so that she could be able to save up money to buy gifts for her children for Christmas. And I think either like the first week of her doing that job, this guy, he was charged for murking her and stealing, the money that she had. And when he represented the guy, he did his job. And I will honestly say the prosecution must have just done a terrible job and they didn't have enough evidence or whatever to hold him. And the jury actually did not convict him. But you know what the attorney told me? He said, I got a murderer off. He believed the guy did it, but he was doing his job. This is what attorneys do. They do, not all, but the good ones, they do their job. Even if they believe that their client is guilty, they represent them to the best of their ability to put the doubt there, because when it comes to criminal, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. So if there's doubt there, they're supposed to say not guilty. They're not saying innocent, they're saying not guilty based off of what the prosecution has brought to light. So with all that being said, I do believe that he has enough, or they have presented enough for there to be a conviction on some of the charges, but I just don't believe that he's going to be sentenced to life in prison. I don't believe he's going to be found guilty on everything. But those are just my predictions and my assumptions. And, for Gina to be out here basically, saying she lied on Tasha K. When I said she lied on Tasha K, I mean on her platform. That's what I'm saying. She's pretty much saying she was on Tasha K's platform and she lied. So she either lied then or she's lying now. But I want to know what you guys think. So let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.